All right.
Hi guys, welcome back
Hey, hey, people.
to
Hey,
Game Mode 4.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've disappeared for like 2 weeks, but that's nothing to worry about. Let's get straight to work here.
Yep. Yeah, I was on holiday, and now that I'm back from holiday, we can talk about bees, which are like the best things ever. I could talk about bees a lot more than I'm going to. Hold still a sec, special. Huh. Just looking at the coloring on the sword.
Yeah, so
oh,
you might
oh
have
yeah, it's
noticed
fancy.
coloring the
It's
sword.
bee colored. Yeah, it's like whiter on the bottom than the top.
Oh, the new text. I like that. Yeah.
It's a 114 change.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right. So you might have noticed we got a new stage. Thanks to Dragon. Dragon built this beautiful stage. It's more like a lecture room now, and we look you can get closer to us, closer to the stage area, and we have more room.
And don't worry, there'll be plenty of secrets to find and discover.
Yeah, we're still working on it.
Yeah, half under construction.
yeah, we're
All right, I think it's time to talk about what bees will do, because we are here doing bees, and nobody knows what bees will do, because they are bees.
yes.
They will stop you from starving by pollinating your crops. Actually, they won't.
Do we want to explain what need bees is designed to address in Game Mode 4?
I will just let you take the lead on the sparks.
But you seem so much more enthusiastic about it than I am.
All right. Okay, so where should we start? I think I will.
Why
talk
not
about it
start
from
at the
a developer
beginning
perspective.
and finish at the end?
Smart you. So a couple of weeks ago, Toffee Max gave us the idea of bees, and other stream bees suddenly popped up. And Sparks likes bees, so we decided to do a bee module. And here's how it's gonna roll out from a gameplay point of view. So what bees are meant to do is not only will they provide another thing you can look into and a cool Game of War thing you can work, but bees, when you install a bees module, it will disable natural regeneration. This sounds bad at first, I know, but follow me. So it will disable natural generation. So when you start a fresh world with bees installed, you won't regenerate health with food. Instead, you will have to capture bees and set up your first beehives. So these will be accessible early game, or there will be an early game version of them. I'm not sure yet. And these bees, they will give you honey, which will be in like, you can harvest it in glass bottles or player heads or something like that. And you can then extract that honey using, for example, a liquid tank, and put the honey in a liquid tank stored in there, put it into bottles, and you can drink bottles honey, and they will give you regeneration and maybe speed for a short while. So when you start a fresh world with bees, you will have not only have to worry about food, but you will also have to set up a beehive to regenerate health. And then when you reach later stages in the game, you can of course switch to like gold apples or regeneration potions. But that's the plan for it, at least.
Yes, a way of changing up the start of your gameplay experience, I guess. We kind of wanted Game Mode 4 to be able to have a bit more of an impact on how your world looks and, I guess, earlier gameplay.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Definitely.
I think in this stream there's going to be a lot of talking as we try and decide things. So sorry about that, but hopefully you guys can give us some interesting input and suggestions during that process as well. So, for example, the composter actually looks kind of like a beehive, but I don't know if we should use it because it also looks like a composter, if that makes sense.
The thing about the composter is I would prefer having a beehive that has an actual inventory. So I would actually suggest a barrel on its side.
Why not an upright barrel? Because of the bee door. Because it's like a bee.
Because of the bee door, yeah. I was thinking like
I keep trying to look in them and you break them.
And this has an inventory, so we could just put the honey in there once honey is generated.
Can we
That would be
can
the
we
detour.
can we detect when a barrel is being inspected with a stat? Because
Yes.
it would be great if we could just make a bee fly out the hole every time you open it.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. That's totally possible. We should also consider maybe if we wanted to making this multi-block structure. Though I'm not a fan of this. I would love to have this a single block structure. That way, players can like place a hopper beneath if they want to, or do whatever with it.
Yeah, I think it should be single block.
But just to get this out here, what's the weird little scaffolding?
This. Ooh.
This makes it look cool, but I don't like it. It's just a pain for the players.
Well, I guess players
Colors
can
are a bit
choose to
flashy.
do it. Because it
Yeah,
looks
they can
nice.
choose to do it, yeah.
It's making me think of a horse, like a little robot, a little wooden horse somehow. Is that just me?
Yeah, me as well. Now that you say it. Yeah, we can totally make a bee spawn.
Barrels are POI blocks, point of interest blocks for villagers now, right? Are we going to have a problem with that? Will villagers put random stuff in there? I think
No,
barrels are
they
used
don't-
by
they don't actually use
fishermen
them.
to put fish in that they fish.
Well, we could even abuse that sparks. We wanted to do like a villager that's bee stuff, right?
It would be
We can
great
use-
to have a beekeeper villager, yeah.
Yeah, we can now make it a beekeeper. We just rename it to fisherman, and then
So
he will return to this block every now and then.
So, just for a bit of background, my dad is a beekeeper for the viewers. So I have spent many years being inundated by bee facts. And I was telling my dad that we were thinking of doing a bee-related module, and he got very excited, but he wanted to make sure that we made it in a way where we pointed out that bees are, like, good, not evil and scary. So we have to make good bees blue. They're allowed to...
Damn it. I wanted your bees to build a sacrificial temple.
Oh gosh.
to the bee gods.
The overlord.
You bee gods. Ambrosia.
Oh, Sheep says that there's a... Hi, Sheep, by the way. There's a open block state for the barrel, so I guess we can
there
use
is
that.
as well.
So yeah, I was... he was saying that we should make sure that bees only attack you if you, like, go into the hive, because he wants to... Basically, if you see a bee, like a honeybee out in the wild, and you leave it alone, it's not going to bother you. And a lot of people are kind of scared of bees because they can sting you if you, like, attack them or swap them or something. But generally, bees will leave you alone. Wasps are horrible, disgusting creatures that deserve to burn in hell, especially hornets.
You are right with that, yeah.
But
Hornets aren't that bad, actually.
hornets?
Are we talking about the same thing? Hornets are like the super...
Hornets are large bees. Sorry, hornets are large wasps, sort of, and they actually eat bees. So that's why my dad is not a fan of them.
But from a human perspective, hornets are actually quite tame, to be honest. Like, I've never had issues with hornets because they don't eat your food and they don't annoy you all the time. Hornets are just like,
They get
Really?
stuck in your hair and then torture you for the rest of the day.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so fun fact, in the UK, we recently had the Asian hornet introduced by accident from Asia, and the way that bees deal with hornets, because hornets will eat bees, is they crowd around the bee and vibrate their wings to raise their core temperature, and bees can withstand a slightly higher temperature without dying than hornets can, so they basically just like clump the hornet, vibrate until they overheat and basically cook the hornet to death, and that's their defense mechanism. However, unfortunately, the Asian hornet, which was recently introduced to the UK, can withstand a slightly higher temperature than the bees, which has caused them to be a massive problem in the UK at the moment. I'm going to try and keep the bee facts to a minimum because I think they're going to really cause problems. But yeah, let's go with a barrel, and people can put a compost or a scaffolding block underneath if they so choose.
yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, we're going to have to do something to make a barrel into a beehive.
Yes.
We also
So-
need to
Get a
talk
handful
about
of bees,
we also need
stick
to
it
talk
in
about
the
like wild bees versus hive bees, because if we're talking about this being at the very start of the game, we're going to have to be able to make one of these very quickly. Barrels have are just a wooden recipe, right? So they're very
Barrels
easy
are
to make
super
from the
cheap.
start. Then we need a way of finding bees very quickly at the start of the game, either having them spawn naturally or having them maybe we could consider when the module is first installed, it just spawns a natural beehive near the player so they can find
Yeah,
it.
so we
not sure.
discussed this in an internal meeting, and there are basically like 3 ways or 4 ways that we thought about how we could introduce bees from the start. So one way would be you just craft yourself an empty hive and that attracts bees by itself. I will keep the personal opinions low. Second way is there will be wild bees and you gotta capture them somehow, and then you can put them into your own beehive. Third way would be villager trading. That's a bit luck based though. And the fourth way would be some other loot source in game, so dungeon loot, for example.
Was I at this internal meeting? I don't remember the villager
You
trade
were,
option.
you were there, Sparks, yeah.
I don't remember the villager trade option. Are you referring to a document I don't have open right now?
I don't think we had a document for it. We just talked about it for like
Okay.
an hour.
Yeah. We were talking about capturing wild bees and getting a bee item, and I had weird feelings about bees as an item. Because
Yeah,
you
I would
can't
just
pick up any other animal. as
I think it's best to leave the bee as a virtual thing that the player doesn't really interface with. So it's just a thing that spawns near the beehives, and the player doesn't really get to touch the actual bees. You just
Yeah.
work with the beehive.
So we're thinking you put down a beehive, and if there are flowers nearby, then bees will eventually just move in, kind of thing.
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that. I would love it if you could like buy bees somehow, but then again, that makes it hard for early game.
But you were just talking about how bees are just a virtual thing you can't touch, so how would you buy bees?
Yeah, maybe you could like buy a populated beehive from villager.
That's going to make it hard to... This is the texture we're going to be using probably, by the way. It's pretty cute.
I think we need to use a different one though, because this is more wasp-like.
You think so?
Well, bees aren't yellow.
What?
Yes,
Yes, they are.
they are. I guess they're a little bit more orangey than wasps.
Bees are
but...
more brown, orangey, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. We could touch up the texture.
We'd go Ocarina of Time and just bottle them.
It would be cool if you can
That
buy
would be cool.
a beehive from a bee villager, but you'd have to find a village at the start of your game, and you can't heal until you do.
That's true, yeah.
Um,
How about leaves? Leaves are abundant. What if there's a small chance that, like, a wild beehive drops from leaves when you break them by hand?
a wild beehive.
Or any other item that somehow makes you able to obtain bees later. I'm just thinking something with leaves, because leaves are easy to go by at the start of the game. Like, just punch a tree.
Sheep says it would be really cool to see bees fly out of the hive and go to nearby flowers. That is definitely planned. Yes. Oh, we should talk about like what the hive does. So the plan is that the hive will produce honey and wax, and you'll be able to use liquid tanks to... You basically get a honeycomb, and you can use liquid tanks to take the honey out of the comb to get a comb item and some liquid honey, and then the wax and honey will have separate uses, which I think is going to be kind of fun. They do point out that liquid... Yeah, and Caster says liquid tanks is mid-game. You need redstone before you can make a liquid tank, so you wouldn't be able to extract the honey to use it for regeneration.
That's a fair point. Maybe you can put a bowl into maybe you can put a bowl into your hive and the bees will just fill it with honey.
Yeah.
early game use. I know it's not 100% realistic, but that would make early game.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Bowls are
Usable.
wooden. And I guess... Yeah, we could do that.
Can we write this down somewhere?
Why
We
does
need, like, a
the
wall.
why does the beehive need an inventory again? Can't we just summon the item underneath?
It's neater to have it in an inventory instead of summoning an item.
So it would just build up
I
honeycomb over time.
Yeah. I just feel this is very much a personal preference, but I feel like things feel way neater if they have their own inventory. They don't summon items in the world. You have to fly a hopper, because that, like, there's no thing in Minecraft that just generates items and places them nowhere. Everything that has like item interfaces works with like an inventory.
Composter.
That's the one exception, I guess.
Well,
I
that
just
one you
think it's
can
neater.
do hoppers and stuff. It's weird.
Yeah. I guess we could have the honeycomb build up like this, so it appears as like a circle inside the hive. Because
Yeah,
we can make it look for an empty slot and fill it with honeycomb if there is a space, right? And then it would eventually fill up, and that would be like the maximum honeycomb. And after that, you would need to like empty it either with a hopper or by hand. So before you even have a hopper, you can just like build up a certain amount of honeycomb in here. And I guess if the slot has an empty bowl instead of it in it, if there's an empty bowl instead of a blank slot, instead of filling it with honeycomb, you would get a bowl of honey, which isn't a thing. I guess you would get the potion to drink.
Oh yeah, there's no bowl of. There's strange stews. What's the name? Strange soup. Strange
Suspicious
whatever.
too. Suspicious.
And we can give those the regeneration effect.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it's unfiltered. It would be unfiltered honey anyways. It would be dirty,
Suspicious
so-
stew isn't in the creative inventory. Okay.
Yeah, it isn't. Let me-
No, it's
Suspicious
just a
stew.
weird one.
I'm just looking at how it looks. It looks interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can use custom model data to make it
Joshua,
look
can
nicer.
you
For...
go ahead and craft one? I will track you some items down.
Oh, in case people didn't know, we are working on, and actually Andante, who's in the chat right now, is going to be is kind of doing quite a bit of work on it. We're working on an optional Gamemode 4 texture pack, which is just designed to sort of enhance Gamemode 4 a little bit, but not. We're still working on the premise that everything has to look good and look sensible without any texture pack, but we'll be able to do things like the suspicious stew bowl will maybe look like a bowl of honey if you have the resource pack installed. I think I haven't been
There we
keeping
go.
up great with the chat, sorry.
There's a lot that's been happening in chat.
Yeah. What about
Okay.
smoking the bees to make them docile if you add angry bees?
The thing is about this module, we could do a ton, but we have to keep it not too complex, since this will be a mechanic that will be pretty vital, literally, for your gameplay.
But
early game.
it can be like something which has a lot of mechanics with a simple start but can be expanded.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Cook the honeycomb on a campfire early game.
That's an option.
Should you add frames to the hive? Add frames to the hive and they get filled up with wax and honey. Ooh, that's interesting.
And you could put
So-
those in a liquid
So you
tank?
craft a wooden frame, you put an empty wooden frame, which is a custom skull, in one of the slots, and then that is filled with honey and wax, which you can then,
Press out with a piston.
or something. That'd be interesting. If you're wondering how they get honey out of hives currently, you have like a man-made hive has got a series of wooden frames with a hexagonal like print of a honeycomb on a thin sheet of wax, and so it looks kind of like a ram slot. So you slot them all in, and then
It's like a server rack.
the bees take the pre-existing bit of wax as a good starting point. It already has the hexagons on it, so they make a very regular shaped hive. They build that out, they fill it with honey and wax and all that, and then when you want to take the honey out, so that you don't have to destroy the entire frame and like smash out the wax. And like what you can do is you can just heat the wax and the honey, and the wax will float to the top of the honey, and you can skim it off and separate it so you get the honey out. You can use a centrifuge, which is like a big metal drum. You put the frame in, spin it at really high speed, and the centrifugal force forces the honey out of the frame. But I think maybe a centrifuge might be a bit complicated for this.
Nah. I don't want to add another machine. Another thing that just came to my mind is, what if instead of one of these honey slots or whatever will be in there, if we decide to make like an item that you have to place in your beehive to populate it, what if like leaves dropped like a piece of wild honey beehive, and then you just place it in there in any slot, and that turns your thing into a beehive. And if you remove it, it won't be a beehive anymore. That way you can move your bees. Like this leaf representing like a chamber with the queen inside. Bees.
Feels kind of weird.
I'm not sure, it's just a weird idea. The leaf item isn't intended, by the way. I just couldn't count something else there.
I'm not 100% against just having wild bees spawning, and if you manage to punch them or something, they drop a bee item that you can use to start a hive. That's a lot of bee skulls.
But then again, it's a bee item.
I guess it only feels out of place because you can't pick up anything else living in Minecraft, I guess. You can pick up armor stands.
Yeah. Well, we could just make a custom scout box that represents like a small little beehive looking thingy that you put inside the big hive, and that drops from leaves.
Maybe.
I just like the idea of having something drop from leaves, because that's really accessible.
This would go...
And it would be really easy to implement.
This would go a little bit against how bees actually work, but like there are some honeybees that, like honeybees, will live in a hive, and they're a colony animal. There are also solitary honeybees, which just live by themselves.
Yep.
It wouldn't really be realistic, but we could have it so that if you like cut down trees, you might get like instead of a log, it would drop like not a bee box, but like a log with a hole in the side which a bee is living in, and you can kind of
that's what I was thinking about.
Use like a solitary bee to start a hive. It doesn't
that's
like
what
make
I was thinking about, but just for leaves.
For leaves.
Because
maybe.
I don't know, the logs are useful. The leaves aren't really.
Toffee says if we did wild spawning bees, they could be better than the starter ones dropped from attracting pollen from leaves, from levers. To make the bee entity sheep, we would probably be using a Vex holding one of these bee skulls.
Yes. Yeah, because they need to be small.
Yep. And the really cool thing about the Vexes is that you can give them a center point around which to hover and a maximum distance away from that point that they can go. So you can really make them feel like they're clustering around a hive.
Special, what are your opinions?
I've just been listening quietly and trying to wrap my head around this whole thing.
Getting those additional bees is the big question for me. What'll feel nice.
Can we just write down what we have so far? I've put up like a little wall beneath your feed spots.
Oh, I totally just blanked that. Bowls can be filled with honey and hive to get stew. Honey.
There wasn't enough space. We can just write down everything and then we can...
Okay. Sheep, I think we can just make them not deal any damage by giving them, like, taking away their sword and giving them weakness, right?
We can just change their attack attribute 0.
Yeah. Well, we do want bees to attack you if you go near the hive, or if you open the hive. But wild ones, I guess, would leave you alone.
Probably. Yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah, as Sheep says, if you break the hive with bees in it, he says you should spawn a random amount of aggressive bees, but I think the plan was to spawn however many bees the hive had in it. Because the idea is that you start off with like 1 bee, and the more flowers you have around the hive, and the longer you wait, like the more bees will populate the hive, so the honey production will increase over time, capping at the number of flowers around it. So if you have a very full hive and you break it, there will be a lot of angry bees.
There was also talk about implementing the flower mechanic again, giving some flowers larger boosts, some a smaller boost.
We've done a lot with flowers.
Yeah.
Flowers,
But I don't know whether that's worth it.
flowers have somehow ended up being a large part of how Gamemode 4 works.
Oh, sunny down.
Okay. Just gotta... What are we doing for collecting the original bees? Why don't you like the idea of putting down a beehive and flowers eventually attract, like, spawn a bee that ends up in the hive?
I don't know, it's way too of a random process in my opinion. I like it more when you as a player, you don't have to plot it down and wait. That feels really unnecessary. I think it's cooler when you have to go somewhere or punch leaves, so you know, hey, I need to punch leaves and get like a beehive core or start a bee or whatever from that, or when you have a task to accomplish and you don't just have to wait.
Would it be acceptable to get as an item a bee larvae?
Yeah, sure.
Like capped inside wax instead of a bee.
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable as an item? Because then you'd be putting like a little bee
so.
larvae that you found in a tree in the hive, and when it hatches, it'll turn into a bee.
Then it becomes a bee.
Question mark, question mark, question mark?
Yep, sounds good to me.
A hive does need a queen, but I don't think we wanted to go with different types of bee, did we? Because there are 3 types of bee inside a beehive.
Yeah, we're just going for generic bee for simplicity's sake.
Yeah, there's
there aren't genders in Minecraft, so we can just...
Yeah, the queen... There's the queen, then all of the females are the ones that actually go out and get honey, and the males just laze about inside the hive until their mating flight. They take off, they mate with the queen, and they die. They literally just... The men are useless.
Yep, that's very true. But Sports, the lava idea, right? What happens if you put that inside your beehive? Will the item just get used up, or will it stay in there? Or
it would get used up, and the hive's internal like scoreboard for how many bees it has would go to 1.
And if you want to move your bees, you don't have an option, I guess.
You can push barrels. No, you can't.
You can't, and that would probably mess up the armor stance.
That's true. Yeah, I guess if you want to move your beehive, you have to break it and deal with the mess.
So
You have to drive off all the bees.
In real life, if you want to move a beehive, you have to move it less than, I think, 2 meters or more than 6 miles. or the bees get confused. So, you know. Toffee asks if
Or
I'm
bees at a
secretly an
time.
apiarist. My dad is a beekeeper, so, you know.
Or
That
we
is
just
actually an
make-
apiarist.
Or we just make it so that it's not a bee larvae, but a bee queen, and you put it in there and it doesn't get used up. Instead, it defines the beehive, and if you take it out, the beehive basically gets destroyed. Like, it still releases bees, but then you can put the queen bee somewhere else and start a new beehive. But it's weird as well. Then we have to check whether it's still in there.
Well,
the thing
well, we
every
can
time.
we can remove it from the inventory and just say if it's broken, drop it as an item.
Yeah, I guess so. Or we
Yeah.
can just not do it if we didn't want to. Like, smashing leaves isn't too hard, right?
You'll probably get quite a few of them fairly easily. You'll have them lying around in
Yeah.
chests.
Especially if you start cutting down trees for
Moving
anything.
your beehive simply means you have to wait for it to reach maximum efficiency again, but I think that's acceptable.
I think it's acceptable. Yeah.
They're very cheap to make. Toffee says leaves and pollen. Leaves get you pollen. Pollen gets you starter bees. Starter bees make honey.
You put pollen into the beehive, and then that makes starter bees.
Mm-hmm.
I like the larva idea, to be honest. Getting the larvae from trees, putting it in there, and that will create the beehive.
Okay.
Do we want to craft a beehive item, or do we want to just putting the larvae into any old empty barrel makes a beehive?
Maybe there should be conditions like the barrel has to contain nothing but the larvae. Maybe
Yeah, that, of
have
course.
grass under it. Are barrels transparent? Will they decay grass?
I wouldn't actually check for that, Sparks, because if people want to build their beehive underground, let them do it, I guess.
They are not transparent. Well, yeah, but they need flowers around it, or it's not going to produce anything. So.
Yeah, but then we can just let them create a beehive, and then it's not going. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Or do we want to like add a custom crafter recipe that crafts a beehive, and then you plop that down, and it says empty beehive, then you put the larvae in. But that would be another requirement. So then you would have to have custom crafters.
I don't think we should have to craft the beehive, because then you'd get like theoretically you'd get like a block out of that.
Yeah.
And doing a custom block placing is that's like some people's like magnum opus.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Being
annoying.
able to place a custom block.
It's annoying because you have to constantly check for, like, if we did that, if we gave them like a special barrel, we'd like have to constantly raycast people who had one in their inventory and then placed a barrel and don't have one anymore. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, you got to keep in mind in 1.14 we have the block tag. So when you have a block in your inventory, you give it the MBT tag. That gets applied to the block once you place it down.
That only works for block states. Block
Yes.
states were added. NBT has been around for a while, but like it doesn't work for all the things because it's security stuff. So like sometimes it doesn't work because I don't know where the limitations of when it works and when it doesn't are. I know for like command blocks, you have to be opt for it to work. As for containers, no clue.
She points out that if beehives are too close to each other, they should have a slower production output.
That's a good question. Should we actively monitor that, or should we make it so that bees eventually break flowers that they generate?
I don't think they should break flowers. This should be passive.
I mean, bees don't kill flowers. They just...
Bees help flowers. If anything, flowers should spread around hives.
Yeah, well, but then the flowers, they what do you call it? They end blooming because they haven't pollinated, and then they turn into seeds. So It's a
Yeah.
weird way to die, but you could argue that bees can fly.
Not... Okay.
There's a lot.
Yeah, we'll have to monitor it somehow.
I mean, nothing else in Minecraft dies based on time.
Well, sheep eat grass.
Is the thing.
Well, toffee
Yeah.
does.
Sheep eat grass, but like, you know, a tree doesn't die if it's not cut down in time. And stuff like
Right.
that. And flowers don't wilt. They'll just live forever. So.
Is Cubit
Maybe we
thinking
should
we're
keep it
saying
that way.
lava when we're saying lava? Lava? Is that how you spell it?
Yeah.
Two of us think it's spelled like that.
Change the
Larvae.
dictionary. We're
Larvae.
never wrong.
Okay, let me recap here. That's that.
Peach. Oh, hi,
Alright, so-
Peach. Vex. Peach says Vex die based on time.
I meant like plants, really, not like entities. There's a
Well,
lot of entities. that
I
don't
think-
know, but like,
Yeah.
I guess there's coral actually,
I
but that's also an animal. So
I think if
we're
you
fine.
drop the larvae item, larvae, I'm going to pronounce it larvae. If you drop the larvae item on top of a barrel, it will become a beehive.
On top of the... Why
Yes.
don't you just...
Because then it's like a custom
Block.
crafter. We have an item to reference for detection,
Yeah, I know.
and it explains why it. If we put it in the inventory, it would vanish after it was consumed. Whereas if you put it on top, then it's more part of the structure instead of part of the inventory.
I reckon we could do it where when you look inside, you put it inside, because you've got to be looking at it.
We can,
Put it
but
in.
I don't know. I thought that dropping it on top would be more game mode 4.
more consistent with other things that we've done.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Plus, like, if you put it in the barrel, the item itself is going to disappear as soon as you put it in the barrel, and it becomes a beehive anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, you set it in the barrel and then pop, it's gone, might be a little confusing. Whereas throwing it on
Yeah,
top, you
alright.
kind of expect it to disappear, maybe.
Yep, throwing it on top sounds good to me.
Okay. Can players choose the barrel orientation?
Yeah, sure.
Does
Doesn't matter.
barrel orientation doesn't really
I-
affect anything, does it? Apart from the
Well,
texture.
I wouldn't allow up, to be honest. Is down possible?
Why
upside
wouldn't you
down.
allow up? I think it looks more like a beehive when you place it up, right? Because
Alright,
an
then
actual beehive, like this kind of beehive, you open from the top. It has a lid on the top. So
That
to
is
me,
true.
this looks more like a beehive than what you've been doing over here.
Alright, then should we limit it to up or down? I shouldn't have done that. I regret that. Should we limit it to up or down?
I think players can choose.
If they want to be like Stranger Things bees, I think they should let them.
Yep, alright.
Stranger Things bees.
Upside down.
Okay.
No? Nothing? Okay.
I understand what you did. I just don't appreciate it.
It's okay, I'm used to not being appreciated.
Okay. So it's been 43 minutes. Should we write a line of code?
Yep, let's go for it before
Oh.
our fingers die.
Quick question on bees and larvae, because I just had a thought. What would you think about giving the item a lifetime, like a lifespan? So when it like drops out of the leaves, right? The item NBT gets encoded with a number that corresponds to like the day it is.
Cool
And
idea,
then-
special, but
After when you create the beehive, if it hasn't been like it only makes the beehive if it's like a still alive larva, like within a
I was
certain
gonna
amount of time.
I was gonna say
Because
you
otherwise
can put it in
storing them is
chests.
useless.
Yeah. I was gonna say putting them in chests makes your timer work, but I think that could work.
Well, yeah, you just have to encode a timestamp when their item is created.
It works the same way
And
as
then
the
check it when
passive
you-
spawning, passive
Yeah.
recharge on the spawner minecarts, essentially.
Yeah, basically. And you only have to check it when a beehive is being made. Because that way
Issue-
people won't try to store bees and sell them, because it'd be really hard.
Issue of that is that you can't tell from the texture, which I don't like, but I like the idea.
Yeah, you can't. You
anyways.
couldn't tell from the texture, but you could like, you know, you'd have to kind of be aware of how long your little larva has been around. Because, I mean, in real life, I suspect it's semi-difficult to figure out if a larva is alive or dead. Because I mean,
Affirmative,
besides
I
waiting
poked
for it
one,
to
it was
turn
dead.
I mean, moving around a little bit, but like, you know, they don't like turn a different color.
I'm worried that people will be like, I can't create a beehive. I chucked the larvae on top, but it doesn't.
Well, you could have it like once it checks, like, because once it's in item form again, then it's super easy to modify. So you throw it on the beehive or the barrel, and if it doesn't make a beehive because it's too old, you change the lore text, and it's like, this bee is dead.
Slimmer, I wish I could
It's
rest that list,
bean.
but I
It's-
It no longer bee, it's bean.
oh no.
Alright, I vote for that. If people think it's cool.
Could be fun.
Paceban is not.
What does this item look like? Is it like a little, like, because it's a custom skull, so is it like a little wooden
A little
wooden
chunk of-
cube
For
with
the-
a hole in it?
For the
Yeah.
larva,
Yep.
we could either do a custom skull or maybe white dye.
Oh, I'm not very keen on repurposing items like that because you can use
Yeah,
the
neither
larva
am
to
I.
you can use the larva to like make
To dye an
to
item.
dye things.
So you crush up your larva into its juices, and then you dye some wool with it. It's really morbid, but it's possible.
Crop says the bee's gonna have genetics and breeding. I don't think so.
That's not how the skull owner tags work.
What? Sorry?
Slimmer just sent me a thing, but it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you can put a head on a pufferfish.
But that would be funny, jumping bees. Grasshopper's module.
Oh no.
I like Special's idea. By the way, I don't like repurposing items, but I see how the white dye does actually really resemble a larva.
It kind of does.
Yeah. I mean, so in this case, the repurposing, the other functions that the item could serve are dyeing something.
I just googled larvae. I regret my decision to Google larvae because they're kind of gross, but yeah, they do kind of look like that a little bit.
A gassed tear. It's just a little clump
Gassed
of
tear.
larva. Rabbit's foot. I don't know.
I don't think
Option.
it's impossible to imagine that white larvae could be used for white dyeing.
What
Maybe.
do people think about this? Like, what does the team think? Also, are the bees gonna have genetics? No, the bees won't have genetics and breeding stuff.
I guess an iron nugget is a much worse idea because you could make an iron
You could
ingot
farm
out of. You could make an iron ingot out of 9 larvae.
It's a
Out of
bee
bees.
ingot. It will be an ingot.
White leather armor dyed with larvae to not get hurt by angry bees. That's kind of a cool idea. We've
if
smeared
I
our
saw a piece of-
clothes with the blood of your children. Leave us be. I mean, leave us, comma, be. Leave us be. Yeah. I
Bee.
don't know.
Leave us be.
I'm
Bee.
amusing myself way too much. We talked
by the
about
way,
the
we-
fact that the number of advancements a module has is directly related to how many puns we can make with the title. And I think this is going to have a lot of advancements.
Yeah.
I mean, the conduit looks cool like a nest, but then you can use it for
I know.
Swimming.
conduit things. Whatever a conduit does. Would people be okay with white dye as a lava?
I've just realised the conduit is
wow.
a 6x6. That's really weird. It's smaller than it's smaller than a skull.
Oh, really? Yeah, it is.
Leave it down a sec. Look at that. It's smaller than a skull.
Huh.
Oops, by 2 pixels.
It's also weird when you place it down, because once it opens, it's like a 10 by 10, I think. It's weird. Because like when it opens into its open state, which I don't think you can force without water.
Yes, I saw your suggestion, Sheep. So what are we coding first? The item dropping from leaves, or should we just...
I think we should start at the item dropping. Start at
So
the
how do we
beginning,
want to
so
do that?
How do we do that? Because we're not allowed to use loot tables for blocks, right?
Yeah, we use a computational dummy loot table.
Does anyone know how to do that?
No.
So should we...
I can scroll up.
Maybe we should start with placing the item on top of the...
Yeah, alright, let's start with that. And whilst you guys are starting on it, I will... Or how to do that, because... Was Elliot who suggested it? Or maybe Cropper knows how to do it.
Alouette seems to be the computational loot table person.
How would we use that for spawning bees based on leaves?
Well, the thing is, we can't use the loot table of the leaf, because that will make it every data pack that wants to apply a loot table to the leaves. So we need some other way to spawn the bee item.
Special,
To spawn the lava item.
did you not make a pack for bees?
Thought Blue was doing that? Question mark? Did I misunderstand?
No, I just copied the template pack, but I will copy it another time. What was the name? Oh, by the way, the name of our module, Sparks.
Yeah, are we going with bees? Bees!
I will confirm Ambrosia.
Or are we going with Ambrosia? Ambrosia. Are we in the Discord voice thing, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah, I dragged us in a while.
Good, okay.
Alright, there's now a data pack Ambrosia. I just decided for us.
Okay.
Cool.
I think it sounds nicer than bees.
Cool.
For those of you who don't know, Ambrosia is a sugar water solution that beekeepers give bees when they take all their honey away so they have something to eat.
How nice.
I can hear Noodle Soup gasping in horror. He's vegan.
What is that
Hey,
outrageous
Crothers.
sound?
Crothers.
Why am I...
You have made a mess.
Was that an at E or an at A, Crothers?
It was an at E because all of the chairs have popped off.
No.
What will
there
have
goes all my
broken?
work for the fast this morning.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Bad Crothers.
Are you guys back at the normal stage? Okay, cool.
I thought it was really hard to do a kill at E now.
Yeah, it is. That's fine.
So I guess it's impressive.
Maybe a little.
Okay, so let's get to work here.
Okay, we have a new copy of the template pack now.
Yep, it's named Ambrosia.
Ambrosia. Okay, let's have a look. Data. Rename this to pack.mc meta without the underscore. Rename the folder to Ambrosia. Minecraft tags functions. Oh, okay, those are fine. GM4. Are you seeing these on your screen, Blue?
I don't see anything, but I will just rejoin the portal.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I guess different people thought somebody else had made these earlier.
Made the pack, yeah. For some reason, despite the air conditioning being on in this house, my room gets incredibly hot when my computer's on. And it's like a little laptop, so I'm not entirely convinced that it's just its like cooling fan that heats up my room by like 20 degrees. But I think it is. Luckily, a cold front just went through, so I can open my window and it's nice and chilly. Slimmer, I think that the bee skull is a custom skull, so I don't think it's currently linked to a player. It's using the like the stuff that we use for like heart canisters and stuff, where it uses references to past player heads without a player. Although there might be whoever made this texture might still have it on their head if it was someone from this community.
It's on fresh coal, which means that the author is lost. I already tried to look for the author. It's annoying because I like to give credit where credit is due, and fresh coal is an excellent resource, but also very bad at crediting people. I can only assume that...
And have a make a bee.
I would just make a bee myself or ourselves.
We can modify the texture as well.
I would do it from scrap.
I assume that things on fresh coal have been uploaded with the intent that they can be used, and if we were profiting from it, like if we were making a marketplace game with it, I would be very different. I'd be like, we'll make an entire texture. I guess we can make a texture. We have a texture artist.
But then Sparks, if we don't do texture ourselves, it won't be as unique. Like, then anyone can use the texture, you know.
That's
true.
Might
as well just.
Let's ask Duck to make us a bee.
It's not like anybody can just. It's not like anybody can just use our like heart canisters textures. They just gotta go to the core the thing. Crop up it might, but I'm not certain. I know you have to change the UUID away from the player, but the 64-bit string might encode it to player. Actually, kind of interested in that now.
Okay, I think I updated all the references.
Oops.
I'm looking for Elliot's talk about loot tables.
Well, that's a good sign. Oh, yeah. That makes a nice change. It just worked.
Woohoo!
Neat.
Oh, I just realised I haven't used 1.13, 1.14 commands in about 3 weeks.
I can't find the the thing where people talked about like the loot table stuff. I think we could just target the nearest broken leaf item, like we've been doing with like with other modules like for Terra, and then execute a /loot command on it to spawn loot.
You add a pool to the leaves loot table with the random chance condition?
That won't work, because then if another module wants to edit the leaves loot table, it will conflict, so we can't use block loot tables.
Well, we can if we want to forego other people's modules who would want to modify a single loot table working. Because we can make all of ours work with each other. It just won't work with other people necessarily. So we can't guarantee that.
I know, but I'd rather just summon the instead of having that incompatibility. What's your opinion on Xbox?
I wasn't listening, sorry, I was typing. What was that?
Especially Zakiing,
I was not arguing either. I haven't.
Special was saying we can make our modules compatible internally and use block loot tables. And maybe we shouldn't ensure that other modules work with it, like from other people, but I think we shouldn't use block loot tables to make other people's work with ours.
I'm really sorry. I read a message Andante sent me on Discord and zoned out. Could you repeat that, please?
Alright, so Special was saying maybe we shouldn't avoid block loot tables. We can make Gamemode 4 compatible internally, and it will only break if other people's work specifically wants to address that one block loot table. But I think we should ensure that we are compatible with basically everything, and should not use block loot tables for that reason.
I think that we can create the same functionality that a block loot table offers in a different way.
Yes.
Which means that we should leave the compatibility open.
Can we?
Yeah, just target the item that was dropped by.
The item that's dropped by leaves that don't drop items.
They do. They drop sticks.
Not all the time.
But some of the time.
Yeah. But you can't tell where that stick came from. I don't think, right?
Apples.
Can you tell if the apple was dropped by a leaf? Can you tell from their pickup delay?
Probably not. And that would mean that only works with oak trees as well.
Well, the same thing.
How did we?
The pickup delay might work for sticks.
How did we do it for sand with the sunken treasure module?
Because the sand drops every time.
Yeah.
How do we tell it's from the? What the hell is this?
Because we constantly look for items with sand items with an age of 0 next to players who have just broken a piece of sand with the stat.
Yeah, whereas leaves can decay on their own and still drop sticks and apples.
I mean, if they decay on their own, should they drop larvae? Like, wouldn't you be very likely to lose the larvae in dirt in that case? Larvae, whatever.
Yeah.
Frankly speaking, I was thinking only hand-broken leaves for the larvae.
I'm also kind of aware that I don't think people really use Gamemode 4 with other stuff much. Like, it is very edge casey that people use Gamemode 4 with other data packs. It's common for them to put it into things like Skyblock or adventure maps.
You add a pool in the leaves loot table with random charts condition. Blue, that grenades also overrides a vanilla loot table. It's not a huge deal. Block loot tables are just too powerful. I thought the plan was to update for Terra to use loot tables. Seriously, block loot tables are far more reliable.
Yeah, although you guys pointed out, I think, during that stream that
we can't use them for TNT, someone said, I think.
Well, also you can't, like, for replacing stone like that, like, that would replace all of the stone.
Yeah. Alright, so maybe we will use block loot tables then. It would be nice to make a short survey. Like, how many people are watching right now? 18 people are watching. So could everyone who's watching right now tell us, do you use other data packs with Gamemode 4? Like, non-Gamemode 4 data packs?
I can't think of anyone ever doing it. There might be an issue if they wanted to play an adventure map that also used the block loot tables. Because I've seen people like play Super Hostile and stuff like that with Gamemode 4.
But I mean, with things like that, you don't install the big modules because you don't have the you usually don't, you wouldn't install Zauber cauldrons or liquid tanks, or probably this module with bees with like something like that. You install something smaller like speed paths or weighted armor.
Why does?
Because I mean, you wouldn't be able to get the resources to set up an apiary and adventure maps and stuff.
Why does bat grenades overwrite a vanilla loot table? Doesn't it just?
I think that's for when you kill a bat, so it drops gunpowder.
Oh, that's right.
Which, to be fair, isn't super important. So if there's another data pack that someone else makes that gives bats a much more important loot table, like
as long as theirs takes
as long as that one's on top, yeah, it'll be fine. Whereas for metallurgies like ore dropping and larvae from leaves, that's pretty core functionality.
I don't think you'd use bee. I feel like beehives would be something that totally unbalances an adventure map.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to set it up
regeneration,
probably.
And if you didn't have natural regeneration anyway, then you would be kind of cheating by giving yourself an extra source of health that the game designer didn't intend. So it'd be a bit weird to implement.
Alright, let's go for a block loot table then.
Yeah. We can make all of our stuff compatible with each other just by adding all of our, like, if we have another module, like if we come up with another module next week that's, oh, leaves now drop steak, we can just, for both of the modules, have steak and larva be a drop option from leaves, so that if either or both are installed, it works properly.
Can you make the block loot table react to like not drop larvae if you don't have bees installed?
That I
probably
don't know about.
Some way to do it.
There's got to be, yeah. There's probably some.
There's some way. Let's not worry about it. Hoodie 1505 says the only thing you would have to watch is if anybody wants to stop leaves from dropping sticks for any reason. So if people want to stop the vanilla game from doing things. I think in that case we can expect them to know stuff good enough to not remove our thing.
Slimmer, you can add a new loot table, but it won't be triggered by the leaves being broken because there is only one leaves loot table. But you can create loot tables for other things.
There's a loot table for each type of leaf, I think.
I wish we could just have multiple loot tables.
Where's our loot table tags?
It'd be nice if loot tables merged their values.
Actually, you know, there's a thing with loot tables that if you put items in an item tag, the loot table will pull a random item from that item tag to put it in the container. Do you think we could...
Can you combine items in item tags? You can't merge item tags.
You couldn't specify NBT. You couldn't specify NBT, but...
Or let's just use the block loot table, guys. Like, we can change it if people complain about it. It's a good way of doing things for now.
Yeah, and if people have another big pack that uses a leaf loot table, they can always manually combine the two loot tables themselves. For a
default loot table tags would just be the best if you have like two table rounds.
How do you check if block and then check for no custom name.
Huh.
Also, I don't know what that weird noise is in the background. I don't know if you can hear it.
Maybe you have to test if there is a custom name and invert it.
Is there a weird noise? I can't hear it. Is it me?
No, it's outside my apartment or something.
Is it a bee?
Sounds like a screaming robot.
It's a huge bee. Okay, so let's get some code done here.
I've got a line already. I don't know if I did my item tag right. You know they're my weakness.
Yeah, sure, why not? That looks about right.
I will work on the block loot table.
Okay. One second, I'm just going to track down the source of this noise to make sure it's not a me problem. Be right back.
Someone's just casually, like, cutting down his front door.
Somebody's throwing hungry kittens at his front door.
Oh dear, that does not sound pleasant.
Well,
Sheepy says, well, this is back to that loot table thing. Sheep says you could have leaves drop a special item from just a generic loot table, and then every module that needs to use the leaves can run things onto that custom special item, which is, I guess, a way we could do it if we needed to in the future.
You can update it in the future if you want to.
I don't think it's unreasonable to, if we have another module that uses leaves, ask people to update their old module that uses leaves when installing the new one to make the compatibility work.
so
Welcome to the stream, Duck.
the noise is my freezer, but I don't know why it's making that noise.
Is your freezer screaming in pain?
It is. It's screaming in pain. Hi, Duck. Do you fancy making a... I mean, how are you?
I just asked Duck
What do
whether
you-
he can join the stream, and we're already making requests.
Would you be too bothered to make a thing? That was like on a silver platter. I couldn't avoid it. Sorry.
Silver platter because they tarnish over time.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Well, that didn't work.
Does somebody know the syntax for block loot tables?
Same as a regular loot table,
Just in blocks?
I thought.
How do I tell it which block it is? I just need data.
Oh, it has to go in the Minecraft namespace for that. Minecraft, loot tables, blocks. I'm
I'm
gonna
on it.
guess oak leaves.
Data.
Can you not custom name barrels? Surely you can.
Are you
You can.
using the JSON object?
Oh, are they JSON objects now?
Yeah, all text is, I think, at this point.
I don't like JSON.
Oh, there's a fancy,
Don't
there's
worry,
a nicer way to do it now.
There's a character. You can use the. You can use.
Like that, Sparks. You just put a single quote outside of the double quote instead of escaping things.
What?
Yeah, that's a short. This is a
Whoa!
shortcut for.
But why even? Why have a shortcut? Why even force us to use JSON objects if there's a shortcut
it's
like
nice.
that? It's
Oh,
nice
yeah.
that we can
Well,
do JSON, but it's
That makes a JSON object.
yeah. But then But that's not valid JSON, right?
No, it is.
Is that standard JSON?
I don't think so.
I don't know about
Minecraft
standard,
JSON?
I'm fairly sure this is not standard JSON.
Because if this is Minecraft JSON, why didn't they just let us do this?
Where are you typing? There you are. Hi. I think that actually might work, but I'm not certain.
Blue is saying it does work, but I'm saying that if that's not standard JSON, why didn't Minecraft just let us do that?
I think they just added that the single quotes as another type of string delimitator.
The single quotes are basically another quote that don't match up with the other quotes, so that does work.
Well, it didn't work.
Alright, I take it back then.
Okay.
Or I typed something else wrong.
Oh, Masode says only NBT allows single quotes.
Of course it does.
That makes sense. So we could do things like this. Alright. But because when you're adding a JSON string to NBT, the outer one's a string. Okay. Gotcha.
What? This is what? Hang on. It's fighting me. This is how it looks in... Oh my goodness, I cannot type quotes. There we go. It's like auto-deleting double quotes and putting in two quotes when I want to type one. It's really annoying.
I find I have to put a space between the two before it lets me work with them individually.
It's put single quotes around this. That's how it looks in game. We'll have to see if it works, but...
Oh, sorry about that.
What? You don't have to do it that way, but that does work.
Yeah, that now works.
Because if you set the NBT to
But we're actually supposed to put a language thing in here, right? Now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I don't even know how to do that. I've been away for 3 weeks. Leave me alone.
Let's see if I remember the string. %1 $S. That's gonna change supposedly, but
Misa says don't worry about the language stuff for now.
I'm just trying whether this works with me just trying politely to create a loot table here. Oak_leaves.
There we go.
Is there...
That works. I just put a short form of sewed. It's fine.
Formisode.
That's it. That's his job now.
Okay. So that gives us...
Kuropa was shouting at me. Important, use an array for width. Unless you want to get soft locked.
What? Where did you say this?
Use an array for width.
We have an
unless
array
you
for
want to
width.
get soft locked.
Yeah.
He's DMing
Is it
me.
not an array?
Use an array. We are using an array.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, alright. Don't not use an array. Then I
Don't
guess.
not use it? What? Never mind.
Just use it.
We need to execute positioned. X Z.
Can somebody link me to Skylar W's Minecraft GitHub thingy?
Oh, one
this-
thing that I've been trying to go through old modules and do because I noticed it for liquid tanks, so I fixed it for liquid tanks and custom crafters, but I haven't done the rest, is that you can put 2 custom crafters into one space by throwing two crafting tables on top.
Yeah.
And it creates 2 entities with 1 recipe's worth of material, so you can technically duplicate stuff. But so you can just fix that with Oh wait, so this doesn't have a different. Since there's no recipe in the barrel. Just before we kill the item, we have to see. Ah, shoot! What?
Aren't you going to do execute unless entity?
Yeah, but if there's two entities on top, two larvas, they'll both still be there.
Well, no, check for the area effect cloud instead of the other entity, the other item.
Oh, okay, gotcha. My brain is slow today.
In fact, we should actually probably put that under main.
No, it has to go in here because if you put it in main.
Who typed? Oh, you jumped to. You're still locked to my cursor. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so because if you put it in main, because when the white die runs, right, both white dies are on top, and yep, here's white die. There's a barrel below us. We run the create hive function. Then when you go to create the hive, they both already know that there's an item there, and they both know that there's a barrel. So they'll both run that function completely because it goes in series. So you have to put another check into the create function. So after the first item alters the barrel, the second item recognizes that another item did it previously in that same tick. And I did something to invalidate this command.
I don't understand why we can't just check whether the barrel isn't already a beehive in main with unless entity.
You do have to, I believe. You should check in main so that you can't put it. So a beehive that you've already made, you can't throw a second larva on. But you need another check in the create function. So if you have two larvas on top of a beehive, you only get one beehive formed.
Won't it process the first? Won't it process the first white die?
If you put the check here, right? So unless beehive,
it'll process the first white die. Check unless beehive. The first one won't find a beehive, so it'll create the beehive in the next function, and then it'll process the next die, right?
Not quite. So when the execute runs, it does. Okay, so first it branches off to every white die.
Yeah.
And then every white die goes, okay, every one of those white die checks, am I above a barrel? And then every white die that's not above a barrel gets kicked out of this list.
Yeah.
So then all the white dies that are on a barrel then go, am I above a beehive? Or am I not above a beehive? And all the ones that are above a beehive get kicked out, and the ones that are not stay behind. And then they run this create hive function. So even though both of them know, at this point, there's no beehive, and now both of the items have been told, run create hive the function.
Okay.
So in create hive, both of them will run through that whole, okay, I'm going to kill myself and summon an area effect cloud, which means that two area effect clouds end up in the barrel.
Okay.
It's like they run the execute command, every section is run for all of the entities that it's still looking at. So it's kind of like the execute command is run in parallel, but then the actual function is run in series. If I'm wording it correctly. Which is just super trippy and fun.
So something like this.
Where do I get Minecraft's default loot table data from?
You could pull it out of the vanilla.
Jar?
Yeah.
I want to.
Hey Tyler Snowden, we are using Atom for our editing stuff because it's got teletype, and so that way we can all work on the same text file at the same time. And then the Atom is using FTP to access files hosted on our testing server.
I think good is an adequate description of it. It's not great and it's not bad. It's good.
Yeah, it works for our purposes.
Yeah. There's a few
some
bugs.
issues with it.
Also, we are using an outdated version of it because the newer versions don't work with SFTP.
Yeah, the thing, I've heard a couple complaints from a lot of people about Atom, mainly just because it takes a little while to boot up. It seems to be most people's issue with it, because it, like, why would a text editor take so long to boot up? But I like it once it's booted up.
Why
It
can
does
I?
take a long time though.
I really need to memorize the max int number.
It's 27 million.
I should give you the speed of light.
Yeah, that's not going to help unless that happens to be the max integer range.
It would be cool though.
Notepad++ is good for when you have a single text file you want to edit and nothing else. That's about it.
I like its macros, or I used to.
It's quick to boot up, and I use it for opening like single files.
I use it for my FTP stuff generally.
Yeah, I can't use it for anything that has multiple files. Yeah. What's it, 2 to the 31st minus 1?
That sounds right.
Oh, that just did 2 to the 30th. Shoot. I need to get my better calculator out. Okay.
2 1
2
4
1 4 7 4 8 3 6 4 7
3 6 4 7. I'm glad we agree. I should memorize that somehow, because it comes up every now and again.
I'm just stuck browsing the jar now.
2 billion.
It has two 47s in it, and then a 48, which is just one off of 47. So that's like a third of it already memorized. Something something 47 48 something something 47. I was 21 once, and I haven't been 36 before. So there we go. My position thing is probably wrong. Can you have a look at this? Because I can't remember how positioned works.
Using the XY swizzle. Favorite word to do with commands, by the way. Swizzle.
I've started using that word for other things when I implement swizzle-like stuff in other languages.
Positioned doesn't seem to want to take XYZ as a parameter. What am I thinking of? Oh, a line. Right. Oh, you've already fixed it.
Yeah. Oh, you're also missing a chord. There we go.
Oh, okay. Because I thought, yeah, gotcha. Alright, let's try that.
Where is...
There are a lot of resources in the Minecraft chat.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just help you out, Quick Blue, and open it up, but then I realized that that's it's harder to find than I thought. Oh, here it is. Okay.
It's not summoning the area effect cloud.
In the jar, data, Minecraft, loot tables, blocks.
Yep, looking for that now.
And then...
Shaders. Data, Minecraft, advancements. Recipes.
Go back to data, Minecraft, loot tables.
Data, Minecraft. Yep.
And then blocks, and then it's in the giant list of all of the blocks.
It's 11:30. I know we haven't done that much today, but I think we might have to wrap it up soonish.
Let me find my leaves. Otherwise, I've done nothing today.
Well, it's not summoning the area effect cloud either, which is not helpful.
We made a beehive. Okay, going home. Thanks. Thanks for watching, guys.
Pretty much. Oh, we are missing a run. That'd be why.
Yep, that would be.
Alright, I've got the loot table finally. At least one of them, but that should be fine for now. Okay, I will add the possibility for the worm item, the larvae item.
Oh, there's an area effect cloud in it now. I guess that means it's a beehive.
How many area effect clouds did it get? Or just one? Oh, because we didn't kill the thing. Oh, there's one. One beehive.
Should
I'm a fan of the barrel sound
increase
effect.
the chances?
I
Should
guess so.
fortune? Well,
Oh,
alright.
should fortune.
Yeah, should it? I don't think so. I think...
No.
There should be the same number of larvae in a given tree, depending on if you have a magic stick or not.
Magic stick.
Yeah, an enchanted fortune stick.
Misa says at the end of the stream, Blue will hopefully have found the file.
Yeah.
We have the very basic starting point of beehives sorted
I
here.
have found the file in my zone. I'm just trying to tweak it now, and it will probably not work.
Do we have to leave all the vanilla stuff in the file if we want it to all the leaves to still work vanilla? Or would
Probably.
it combine with the vanilla?
I'm very much thinking it won't combine because that was the whole point, wasn't it? That you can't have two.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. And then I guess we kill at S to get rid of the water thing. Water? I'm just talking out my face now, aren't I? Okay, that's good because there's already a beehive there, so it didn't. But that one did.
Didn't make enough.
We should probably add a particle as well.
The beehive explodes.
I think a beehive would become like active with one bee the moment the lava goes in, right?
It charges up with a boss bar. Yeah, probably.
We could get those exploding barrels from the April update.
The ones that are on fire.
Yeah.
Alright, so entries. Where do I just put this horrible thing?
How's it going, Blue?
I'm trying hard. Alright, so I don't think I need the enchantment fortune thing. Don't know what it does though. And well, the chances just to 0.1. Should you... You will now get either a stick or a larvae. Does that sound alright? Because the larvae is kind of in a stick, right? Just a bulky stick.
Sure.
Ah! What is freaking out in the log?
Beg your pardon?
Oh, Blue's oak leaves thing isn't done. It just printed about
Did it
40,000
fail?
lines of error.
Wait, what? Not really 40,000.
Okay, 40
I'm so...
39,000.
Alright, so let me just get rid of this.
My...
Can we try again now?
Oof.
Still?
Couldn't read loot table, oak leaves. Missing enchantment, expected to find a string.
There's no enchantment in there now. Maybe it didn't save in time. Oof. A lot of errors.
I fixed my issue.
I didn't fix mine though. This is a nightmare.
Area effect cloud is now destroyed if you break the barrel. Wait, that area effect
What?
cloud is very on top, but it's still inside the barrel. Should we do an on-ground check on the item to check that it's landed?
Probably.
Yeah, does it do varying heights?
Yeah, we could fix that by doing X, Y, Z positioned.
Yeah. Couldn't hurt, I guess. Just add a Y to it.
We might have to do a slightly more intelligent check for the beehive, because at the moment you can create it if it's in the very middle, but if it's too close to another hive, like half a block.
Using region selectors instead of spherical checks, probably.
Yeah.
You better be careful when you... Says Toffee. And I'm super confused by this horrible loop table.
Pardon me?
Last year.
Gesundheit.
Oh, Gesundheit, yeah.
It's like the one chance you
Only
get to say
German word I
something
care
German.
about.
Yep. I gotta abuse it every time.
How close am I to the memorizing the integer value? Okay, so 26.
You're already wrong.
23.
No.
Oh, is it 17 to start?
21.
21. Okay. It was
I'm plus 10.
21, 47, 48, 32, 47?
36, 47.
Okay, I got a bit of work to do.
You only got two numbers wrong, though. The second number and that 30-something.
It's something
Yeah.
47, 48, something 47. I know that now. So
Yeah.
What's the function explosion decay? Just get rid of this, I guess.
21,
Can we-
40,
21, 47,
47,
48, 31?
36, 47.
36, 47.
It's bookended by 47s.
Yes.
And in the middle are powers of 16 almost. Multiple, not powers of, my bad.
I will memorize this.
The more I look at it, the easier it is. Like, I always am like, this is just such a massive, huge number, but now it's kind of, It's dropping
Now there's
stone blue,
stone
whatever you did.
everywhere.
It's dropping
Well,
stone.
I made it drop stone because I couldn't treat the MBT. Well, I didn't get to the MBT part yet. That's a lot of stone there.
Toffee, if we try and sweeten up Alouette and get her to do the loot table, she will complain vehemently that we are using a blocked loot table when we should be allowing for compatibility with other modules. Is my thinking.
Does it drop stone every time now? Oh, it
If
does.
you added it as a separate pool, yes, it will.
It's not a separate
You have to
pool.
give that pool chances. Or
It's in a
roll
pool
rates.
with sticks.
Oh,
But the sticks, they don't have a weight. They just have chances.
I see a stick though.
I think what we kind of have to deal with Game Mode 4 is that Minecraft is really not designed for Game Mode 4. It's designed for map making, where everything is known. I think that's always kind of been the case. We've always had a little bit more trouble designing for Game Mode 4 because it's all of the command stuff is for making a thing for this map without any extra stuff being added, and we kind of do the opposite of that.
It's easier to control everything than some other things.
Yeah.
Yep. I think this should work now.
I see sticks, I
Assuming
see
weight.
apples.
Assuming weight, it works with double values.
Where's this file so that people on the stream can look at it?
It's under
It's on a server probably
Minecraft
somewhere
blue
in
tables,
Canada.
blocks, oak leaves.
Okay. I hope everybody's glad that I opened this. I hope it means something to someone.
Oh, I see what Miss Ode said about JSON files having a weird format. He said something about that in Discord earlier today, and I'm like, well, I was just looking at a JSON file, but it's fine. But since then, I've restarted my Atom before the stream, and I guess that installed the update, because now everything is underlined and freaking out in bright blue.
Really? Mine's fine.
Thanks for calling me smart.
Cropper screamed from his eyes. Apparently it hurts.
I don't think this works. I don't think weight accepts doubles.
No,
No, you have to scale all your integers to work.
Yeah, but there are no integers in the stick. Like, the stick just takes chances, and that's like...
If you leave out your weights, it does it evenly.
Oh.
We'll come and fix this.
I think we should wrap up the stream here for today.
Louis, you have homework.
I should have homework, yeah.
Fix the loot table.
So one more time before we go. 21, 47, 48, 36, 47.
Yep.
I got this.
I'm gonna add it to like the list of numbers that I know to a ridiculous number of digits. Like E is 2.182828459045. Like
Do you know what's going to happen? The next time I need to use the max integer value, I'll remember the number, but I won't trust that it's correct, and I'll have to look it up anyway.
yeah, probably.
Well, I know
I do that all the time with NT.
Is it 10 to the 32 minus 1, or 10 to the 31 minus 1?
31.
31 minus 1.
2.7. What did I type? 2.1? Oh, I left out the 7.
Well, I know that the speed of light is equal to 299,792,458 meters per second.
I remember the speed of light. It's real easy. It's just C.
Cool.
C for cool.
Cool.
I'm gonna start using like a max integer as my lottery numbers. 21, 47, 48, 36.
Then you are nerdily deluding yourself about how the lottery works, which is the worst kind of way of deluding yourself about how the lottery works, because you should know better.
Yeah. It's okay, I'm broke, so I can't afford the lottery anyway.
All right, let's wrap it up here then.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching me achieving nothing on the stream.
Yeah, it was discussion heavy, but I think we were expecting that. We should see some more progress in the next week.
Yes.
Next week.
As well as some hopefully some other special things to play around with on the stream server. We're hoping to add a couple things to this fancy new stage that we got for 1.14. So
Yep.
yeah.
And remember, kids, 21,
Wear your
47, 48, 36, 47. Good night.
Good night.